Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Hello everybody and welcome back to PSGL. After a week's break, we are back after enjoying all of the lovely action in F1 esports. It's back over to us to deliver some for you, and we are at Interlagos, which I'm sure will be a very exciting race. Now, Felipe Salza wasn't able to win the championship on circuit, but due to all of the steward results, he has been able to. We'll talk more about that after we return, but first of all, let's take you through the action from Baku, all of the best moments from the 26th lap race that we had. 5 red lights in Azerbaijan. And PSGL is racing on the streets of Baku with a great getaway by Thomas Konkeni. Ema Lundell's got the inside line. Can he try challenge for the lead? He's going to put a nose in there. Bit of contact between the top two, but Thomas Konkeni continues on as the leader. Zach Miles trying to move up to second position. He's going to have the outside line. Are they all going to be able to make their way through? That's Jane Tripkov in a battle with Sparky in the background as well, and it seems like they are going to make their way through, but there was a bit of contact. Thomas Konkeni is sprinting clear of the field towards turn 3. Ema Lundell still having the attentions of Zach Miles. That's a late lunge by Tristan Debecourt, diving to the inside and showing the wall to Daniel Gottschalk, who continues on going. But is he going to be ahead of Tristan Debecourt? No, he won't, because storming around the outside, powering ahead is Tristan Debecourt, who takes P4. He is indeed. We'll have to look to the front of the field because Ema Lundell is in the slipstream and we're already going to get a pass for the lead. So Ema Lundell to the front of the race. Now the slipstreaming begins, and Tristan Debecourt, who's got the soft compound tyres, he's also got third position. He's getting past Zach Miles down the straight, and the straight is that long that possibly Tristan Debecourt could be diving to the inside of Thomas Konkeni, who was trying to fight back against Ema Lundell. And this is the amazing thing, no DRS right now. All of the drivers still very close to each other. You're seeing them deploy a bit of ERS and trying to make some overtakes. Tristan Debecourt is going to be the one with a bit of ERS. He's got the soft, as we've already mentioned, and he's now going to have the inside line. Can he get ahead of Thomas Konkeni? Will Thomas Konkeni fight this one at all? There's a move being attempted in the background by Luke Wallster. Boris Zakazak getting his way past. Also another driver on the soft. So both Sauber drivers on the soft common tyres. Tristan was able to get ahead of Thomas Konkeni. DRS is going to be open for him. He won't even need to use any ERS. Ema Lundell, defend if you want, but the DRS is going to mean that Tristan Debecourt is going to power ahead. You can see, so Tristan Debecourt takes the lead. More importantly though, Zach Miles moves up to third position, and they've both pound of tyre on as well. So up goes Zach Miles, up goes Tristan Debecourt. Ema Lundell able to take the lead. He managed to get past Tristan Debecourt on the run towards turn 3. There has been contact though, we believe, with the wall for Kryzix, who has got damage to the front wing there. Tyus Korsman has got the slipstream now as he tries to get past Daniel Gottschalk, and also at the same time Daniel Gottschalk trying to get past Thomas Konkeni. We're 3 wide over the line, down to turn number 1, and contact between the 3 of them, and Tyus Korsman, can he keep it out of the wall? Oh, that was so close as they made contact down the straight. Daniel Gottschalk almost losing the car before they got to turn number 1, but Thomas Konkeni there stays ahead, but that was 3 wide into turn number 1, and Tyus Korsman lucky to keep out of the wall on the exit of turn 1.
So very curious to see how his strategy is going to play out. Safety car.
Safety car is out on the circuit, and we are assuming that someone has hit the wall with their front wing. So the safety car is out on the circuit, and Ema Lundell, the leader. Felipe Salza on the hard. Let's see how many positions he will lose. Can anyone attack him? Like Daniel Gottschalk and Tyus Korsman, all following closely. And we are racing once again here at Baku. Ema Lundell seems like he's judged that restart to perfection. He's going to have the lead into turn number 1. The moves are going to be coming behind it. That's going to be late on the brakes by Thomas Konkeni as he tries to get past Julian. He's going to throw a nose in there. Julian will keep his foot in, and they're still going to be side by side. As in the background, we also see Sparky trying to get past Thomas Buldra, but they're all gonna make their way through the opening few corners cleanly, luckily, and there'll be some opportunities for some drivers to attempt some moves into turn number 3.
Linus Donovan has just overtaken Train Chepkov, is having a pretty good fight with him actually, as they're tussling places. Nico Viani actually just gets past them, so it looks like them fighting. It really is two ducks fighting for a bone, and the third one stealing it away because Nico Vianney has just gained 2 positions.
Well, here's Tyus Korsman trying to make a move there onto the back of Felipe Salza as well. This is going to get really tight into turn number 1. Tyus Korsman late on the brakes, moves up to P4. He surely will be attempting that. Will Tyus Korsman and the Mercedes driver about to try and get past Felipe Salza. Brilliant camera angles to show you how close the Mercedes is getting onto the back. And he's now going to be pulling alongside Will Tyus Korsman, and he will be moving ahead. Zach Miles is still side by side with Emo Lundell. You'll get Tyus Korsman getting a very good slipstream down the straight. So Emo Lundell will move ahead. Here comes Tyus Korsman now, but he's going to back out of it. So he wants to be the third car in the train. He's not interested to make a move. And we're seeing a 3-wide moment in the background, and that was Kuba trying to get past 3 cars. Sparky stays ahead. Thomas Bulldog still though battling with Kuba. Who's going to the inside, and they'll remain wheel to wheel through turn number 3 there, and that was really close. It's through turn number 2, I should say, and that is Kuba who's going to be ahead.
We see a launch coming in there from Tomas Kenny onto Julian, who has gotten the move done. So Tomas now finds himself in P8. Zach Miles realizes this. We're going to have almost 3 men wide, but Tias is just going to settle for 1 position gain. Almost hits the back of Zach Miles there momentarily, but I think he may want to go past him on the second DRS straight. Zach Miles going a little bit wide there. Better exit for Tias. And will he be using a bit of ERS here? He's moving out of the slipstream a little bit already. And he is indeed not going to be going for the move. Gianolito is also trying to have a look. But here comes Sparky down the main straight. But it looks like Kuba's used a little bit of ERS to try and defend us. Daniel Gottschalk has just gotten past Felipe Salza. That is an overtake we weren't really expecting to see happen. Felipe has decided not to defend it too much, as Daniel has used a little bit more ERS than him. But that means with Felipe bumped back to 5th, it means that he is now out of potential championship competition, at least of clearing it tonight.
But he does want to re-overtake, like Tyus Korsman is going to do as well. Watch Emo Lundell. Is he going to make it 3 wide? There might not be enough room for that, but Daniel Gottschalk's going to be diving to the inside, and he's into the back of Tyus Korsman. He gives a little tap. He allows Tyus Korsman to move up through. Sparky's got past Kuba, and Keanu Litar's dropped down, and Thomas Bulldog is making up a few places. Linus Donovan has retired, but that is in the pit lane, however. They're still all battling, as we have Emo Lundell dropping down to P4. Daniel Gottschalk has upgraded himself up to P3, and Felipe Salza's trying to dive to the inside, and watch Thomas Conkenny. That is absolutely outrageous stuff, trying to get past 3 cars, and still he's trying to go around the outside. Daniel Gottschalk parks it in the apex, does not allow him to do that, and it turned into an absolute brawl. Has this race, we're having to look at left and right to who is making the dive bomb right now.
No, I think for a time being at least not. It looks like Daniel Gottschalk has really fallen
into the wall! Thomas Conkenny!
Conkenny!
He's into the barrier right to the castle section. That is such a disappointment for Thomas Conkenny. We won't get a safety car. It's far too late in the race for that. But Thomas Conkenny, we were on board with him finding the barrier there. That is such a disappointment, and he's going to fall out of contention in this one.
Luke also has no front wing, does he?
Does he not have a... Yeah, he doesn't have a front wing. Luke Woolstow, currently sitting in P5, doesn't have a front wing. He's got Sparky to the side, getting his way through. That's going to be late on the brakes by Julian, who is going to smash Sparky into the wall. And Sparky's out of the race. Here comes Tristan Debecourt, trying to go around the outside and spinning around. Julian is round, and Luke Woolstow's been collected once again. And Julian's in the wall, and there's more contact in the background. This is really getting aggressive. That's Kuba involved in that one. And that is absolutely outrageous. Luke Woolstow doesn't have a front wing. Litar's getting his way past. Nico Vianney's dropping down the order. We also have Jane Trubkov trying to make up some moves. This is absolutely fantastic action, but this is absolutely turning into a brawl right now. Litar's been given a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, and all the while Felipe Salza is looking to attack Daniel Gottschalk.
Luke will be dropping out of contention, and with Felipe eyeing to get a race finish in P3, could be great news for him. But it looks like up ahead, the podium, at least the first 2 positions have been decided, as Felipe has now gotten past Daniel Gottschalk. He does not want to wait for the final lap and thinks he can clear it all the way to the end. Indeed, looks like Daniel Gottschalk has almost no ERS left to defend. So Felipe is looking good to try and finish in P3. And Luke Wolso already finds himself now in P8. He's dropping down the order more and more and more, so will need to hang on. But also round the outside comes Kuba Tresiak now. It looks like Felipe might clinch the title after all, but I really do wonder, how did Luke lose his front wing?
This has been absolutely fantastic for a driver who finished on the podium in Australia, has not had any of that accolade all season long, but he's about to pick up a victory. He pulled away from Zach Miles when he needed to, the passes as well, and Tyus Korsman will make his way over the line. Tyus Korsman wins here in Azerbaijan. It'll be Zach Miles in second. Felipe Salza crosses the line to take third. It was absolutely chaotic at the end, but I'm sure we're going to be getting much more of that here today. In the commentary box, my name is Omi, and joining me once again for some amazing PSGL action here on this Thursday night is Myth Sky. Hello, Myth.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back after the 1 week hiatus. We're once again here for round 10 here at the wonderful circuit at Interlagos in Brazil. And to answer the question in the chat, yes, that Haas was indeed missing a front wing.
It was missing a front wing. I still haven't been able to figure out how. I'm sure we'll be able to for next week, though, and I'm really going to put some effort in to figure that out for next week. But yes, the Haas was missing a front wing, and it was the man, and it was the only man who could deny Felipe Salza in the championship. But now no one can deny him. He is officially the PCF4 champion here in season 36, and it's been an amazing season by him. And now he comes into his final, now he comes into his home race, and of course the final race next week in Texas with the championship all wrapped up. He's really happy about it because he wants the championship over and done with as soon as possible. Now he can just sit back and relax and enjoy these last two races. But he definitely wants to do well at this one because it is his home race.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to sit back and relax that much, even though the title is in the bag. But it's crazy to see how he's already a champion, even though one race was cancelled and we still have 2 races to go. And that despite the fact that he went scoreless in France after a technical malfunction. So it just shows how dominant Felipe has been throughout the season. And yeah, as he said when we did the interview before Baku, he wants to get it done as soon as possible. And he indeed has gotten it done as soon as possible. And now tonight, he'll be able to, reap the rewards of it and enjoy his home race as the new PSGL PCF4 champion.
Absolutely. As well, then, here is your calendar. We've done all of the rounds so far up to Azerbaijan, and of course, this is officially round 10 of the season to stay in sync with all of the PC races, but of course for us, all of the PS races, but of course for us, this is the 9th race of the season, and we go to Texas. That will round off the season next time out as well. So I'm sure we're going to have 2 exciting races to wrap it up, and not only the season, this one wraps up the whole game cycle before we move over to F1 24. And of course there's been some news and a lot of trailer releases and stuff going on for the F1 24 game as well, mostly with the career, but I'm sure hopefully the handling's also good for all of these amazing drivers to drive around with and have another great year of racing. Now we're going to move over to the Drivers' Championship, and the man at the top of the table cannot be beaten anymore, but still we could get a few changes here for second as well. But Jonas Martin's currently sitting in third, still somehow sitting in third position due to how amazing he was at the beginning of the season. He won't be able to, of course, due to esports. Great to see him getting a lot of camera time in esports, and I'm sure we were all cheering for him. Our very own Jonas Martin's out there with Ferrari Esports doing an amazing job.
Yeah, he's done an immense job there. We saw that he was interviewed during one of the races last week as well, so that is great to see. I think
twice.
And twice even, so even better. But yeah, so far, even for the other drivers, it's proving to be quite difficult to still overtake him. It is possible for a few drivers to leapfrog him here tonight in the standings, although I don't think Jonah is going to be too bothered about that. Luke also can still technically get beaten by their Zach Miles, Kubitrezi, Ectius Korsman, or Keanu Luto. But also that seems to be fairly unlikely. Most of the things are wrapped up, but the one thing that is not wrapped up yet, and we could see wrapped up later tonight, are the constructor standings.
Absolutely as well. So the constructor standings now in front of your screen. It is Red Bull at the front of the field. Still though, it isn't wrapped up at all, and it is Alan Banner second, Felipe Salza of course for Red Bull, and Haas you've got Daniel Gottschalk and Luke Wallstow. We're about to get into qualifying, so I'm sure we're going to be for a really exciting qualifying session in F3 that we just had their qualifying, and they've also had a few delays before their race got underway. But in that session, the top 6 separated by 1/10 of a second, and the top 2 setting identical times. It was a really close, an ultra close qualifying session there, which I'm sure we're also going to get here as well. But it is Red Bull, Haas, Mercedes, AlphaTauri, Ferrari, Alpine, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, or more known as Sauber to you guys, and of course Aston Martin and Williams. So they'll all be looking to try and score some extra points here today, and I've just seen the PSGL tweet, unfortunately not including Mid-Sky. I think Oscar forgot that we run it a little bit different here, but Mid-Sky is joining us luckily here for this one as we now take a quick look at the circuit. As you can see, 4.2 kilometers, 2.6 miles, 15 turns, and you have 2 DRS zones, 2 brilliant DRS zones that deliver us with fantastic action, and I'm sure we'll be getting more of that here today. Now we go trackside and we look in the pit lane, and I'm happy to say that we have got the PSGL sponsor boards back in business, and you're going to be seeing this amazing circuit located on the left, on the right, even right now in the center, by the amazing sponsor boards. Are much better than the in-game ones that we are usually given.
Yeah, and just to come back on the standings in the constructors, it's a 28-point lead for Red Bull over Haas, with a total of 29 points that you score in a race. That means that if Red Bull outscores Haas tonight, they also secure the constructor standings.
Okay, so...
And it looks like... Here we are.
Yep.
The drivers are on track.
Drivers are out on track as well. We have Jane Tripkoff, who we are getting a fantastic angle to show you. But now with Jane Tripkoff making his way through them. And on an outlap, of course, as all of these drivers get ready to attack this amazing circuit. Big thanks to all of our sponsors, of course, at GT Omega, SRC. And it will be exciting to see how the drivers are going to perform here tonight. We've got 18 in the field, so we were able to fill some of the grid with some reserve drivers, but not able to fill every single spot for you. But still, we've got 18, and I'm sure these 18 drivers will be providing us with plenty to look for out there on the circuit. And Brazil, it's one of the races when the calendar was announced that I'm sure everyone would have been looking forward to, unless a driver who maybe doesn't enjoy or doesn't like the circuit, but or everyone would have been looking forward to. I've definitely been looking forward to it. It's often one of the best Grand Prix of the season, and I'm sure it'll be no different here. And with the evidence of qualifying from F3 earlier on, that we're going to be in for a very close qualifying session as well.
Yeah, I think Brazil, together with Silverstone and Spa, those 3 tracks you pretty much always want on your calendar. I believe the PSGL, the F3 lap times, I believe pole position was a 107.090. Is that correct?
I don't really remember, but it could be the case. All we do know is that the top 2 were set the identical time, and the top 6 were separated by
teammates as well.
Of a second. So ultra close stuff. But enough about F3. We've got an F5 qualifying in progress right now, and we've got Tristan Debecourt making his way through, pushing on around this circuit right now, hoping to get a good lap. In the Sauber is Tristan Debecourt, who's had a few good performances this season, and he'll be hoping that this is another one.
Let's hope he can do great as well. I'm currently looking at the driver just ahead of him. That's Jane Tripkoff. Jane will be the first driver to set a lap time if he doesn't get blocked there in the final corner there. That as he takes his way around and goes all the way up. Can use a little bit of a slipstream from the Aston Martin, so that's a good run down to the start-finish line, and he will set a 107.4, so it likely indeed was a 107.0 that the F3 drivers are able to do. Daniel Gottschalk goes a little bit quicker, 107.346. Tristan Debecourt now comes in, as you mentioned, 107.453. Luke Wallstall, the man second in the championship, puts that car just behind Daniel, so we have a front row lockout for a time being for us, but of course, more drivers still have to come through, including Felipe Salza, and he is just now ending the end of the second sector.
So, Felipe Salza in his home Grand Prix, hoping for a good performance. When we were talking to him earlier, he did say that he's going to be stronger in the race compared to qualifying, but Felipe Salza, we've seen so many times this season that he's a very quick driver when it comes to qualifying, and he's currently put the car on the front row. It's Daniel Gottschalk, Felipe Salza, Luke Walser, Jane Tripka, and Tristan Debecourt, the top 5, still waiting for just under half of the field to set their lap time. On board we go with Sasha, who's coming into the pit lane. Emil Lundell currently making his way through in the Alpine. So they're all currently attacking. Linus Donovan about to come over the line. Where can the Ferrari driver go? He goes into P6. He was originally a reserve driver. Promoted up, though, to full-time with both Ferrari drivers who were originally in the slot. Joanna Martins and Noel Coleman both backing out of their seat as they couldn't do every week. So that's allowed a great driver like Linus Donovan, who in his first appearance was able to get second at Spa. So he's a very talented driver.
Yeah, now Emil Lundell is going to come across the start-finish line. He sets the quickest lap time out there, but we know that Emil is quite a qualifying beast. But setting your benchmark as a 107.2 with your first lap out there, when there's still 2 laps to go, that shows how much pace he's got in that Alpine. Now, I'm very curious to see if we can beat those lap times that the higher tier was able to set earlier on. The last driver still on track is Nadi Perez, as Sasha and Carlos Torres have come into the pits. Nadi Perez seems to... not sure if he's going for a 4. He's always tried to surprise us a little bit. And it looks like he's doing the same thing again because he's not using any ERS. He's been known to just go for a little bit of a long run. Well, a long run of the softs. And then go for a lap all the way at the end of qualifying. Just to get a proper feel of the car and the track. So he won't be driving any competitive laps until the end of the session. The one driver that currently has gone out on track and is now making his way around the Descida do Lago is your McLaren driver, Sasha Neeb.
So Sasha Neeb pushing on right now in the McLaren, or about to push on, but out there on the circuit, along with also Jane Tripkov, who has made his appearance out there for his second run, hoping that what will be a very exciting second run for him that can try get him right onto the front row, even onto provisional pole it will be. So cannot wait to see who's going to take this one. And Emil Lundell, you mentioned qualifying beast, 3 poles this season, and he'll definitely be looking to make it 4 poles. When it's come to qualifying, he's definitely been the man to be while putting in late lap times as well. So Emil Lundell, really quick, really talented when it comes to qualifying, but he's going to try his best to try and convert that into a race victory, and he still hasn't been able to. He was, of course, taken off that victory in France. That was the only time he finished on the top step. His best result is P3. Let's see if today possibly could be the day that he maybe is able to take the top step.
Yeah, because let's not forget, last time out in Azerbaijan, Emil Lundell had the fastest lap in the race, also had the pole position, although it was Thies Korsman winning in the race. Zach Miles going second, third going to Felipe Salza, our now championship winner, as we still see Sasha Neeb going around the track. It's very nice to see that all the corners here on this track have their names. Some of them have translated names, most of the names will be in Portuguese. So it'll always be very fun for us commentators to give a call out for that, because right now he's making his way down turn 11. That's a dive, Marguglio, before he makes his way through Junção, turn 12. 15 turns in total, with the last one just before the start-finish straight, that being Arquibancada. So it's very hard to pronounce all these names, but we'll try to make our best out of it.
We will indeed. So, Sasha Neeb over the line in the McLaren, and slowest of all, the only driver in a lap time which includes the 1 minute 9. So everyone else has a 1 minute 7, and when we told you the margins would be close, there you go. The margins are very close indeed. Now the drivers are pushing on right now on the circuit. We're going to focus and watch Felipe Salza, and you're going to have a little break from our voices. Instead, we're going to hear from Felipe Salza his thoughts after getting the championship crowned off the circuit, and also his thoughts coming into his home race as Jane Kripkov moves up to 4th.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the championship. I mean, when we started the championship, I was really worried about all the other rivals, because we had Yona. Obviously, he didn't participate in many races, so it was crucial for me. And also Luke, Zach, and a lot of really fast drivers. But yeah, the aim is always to win, and we could manage that with 2 races to go, so I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, just really want to thank everyone who was cheering for me, especially my Brazilian crowd. They were really in the chat, cheering for me, and yeah, always watching my streams. But yeah, looking forward to the race today, because it's gonna be Brazil, obviously, my home track. So it's gonna be special. I think in the race I'm really fast, but not as well in qualifying. But I'm gonna do my best. In Baku last week, I wasn't the fastest in qualifying. I started P7 and could finish P3 because of the race pace. So I think in race pace in general, I think we are pretty fast at that. And yeah, I think we're just gonna be pushing into the limits. We don't have a championship to worry about, so I think it's even more a motivation to push more for the next two races. So I'm gonna give my best.
Great to hear there from Felipe Salza. Luke Walster's gone to the top. Is he going to be able to remain there though? Emma Lundell over the line. He takes it away. He sets a 1:07.111. Does Emma Lundell. Great lap time by him as he tries to take pole position here. He's ahead of Luke Walster.
Yeah, remember there were only 2 drivers in PCF3 that were quicker than this, so it's quite astonishing to see that a couple of drivers are able to contest that really closely, most notably Emil Lundell, Luke Walso. They would have been in the top 10 as well, the other drivers so far not. But most of our drivers have been able to improve. Felipe Salza did dive into the pit lane, even though he was already a 10th up, but likely feels that there's more in the back. Tius Korsman put his car in P3, car 6 also in P4. Meantime, Carlos Torres set his first lap time, a banker of a 1:07.472, puts himself in 10th place as we see, I believe, Zach Miles jump up the order. He's now in P7, just 5,000s behind Felipe Salza, who's on an out lap. And so is Daniel Gottschalk. So those 2 drivers will be the main ones to watch, as more drivers are entering the pits and some are also leaving the pits, with a Ferrari and a Sauber currently leaving the pit lane.
So, 7 minutes to go on the clock. Some drivers electing, as you mentioned, Felipe Salza. You would have watched him diving into the pit lane while we were hearing from him. So he dived it into the pit lane, not doing another lap, not wasting any time, getting straight back out here was Felipe Salza. And I think we're actually going to be able to watch him. Mitt, do you want to take us through this lap? We weren't able to get a hot lap for you this week as you were a little bit sick. But do you want to take us through a lap with Felipe Salza?
Definitely. So Felipe is now diving it into the Estel Senna, the Senna S's, before making his way around the Curva do Sol up the Reto Oposta, one of the most famous straights here in Interlagos, before braking hard into the Descida do Lago, the Lakes Descent. 2 quick turns, easy to pick up track limits there. We also had some great fights in 2021 in the real world with Hamilton and Max Verstappen, as Felipe is making his way around the second sector. Second sector is quite technical, as we see Felipe take a lot of curbs, especially something you want to do here, because the curbs are forgiving here, as he's now making his way into the Pico de Pato, the Duxville, turn 10. Good exit there. Diving it down, Marguglio into the dive, and as we see at the end of the second sector, he's up by about a 10th, so it's quite similar to the lap time he was doing earlier on. Let's see if this time Felipe is going to complete his lap, or if he is going to dive it into the pits yet again. He's keeping a very tight line. He's going to continue, though, and he is going to put it across the line, and he sets quicker lap time. He jumps up to 4th, so 1:07.253 as he goes off the track there a little bit, but that's fine. So far, pretty good run, and I think not far behind him, well, Daniel Gottschalk has actually put it into the pits, so he won't be improving, but more drivers still out there on track, including Luke Walster.
So, Luke Walster out there on the circuit then, as he now makes his way through turn number 1 and 2, the opening part of this lap, the Senna S. And let's see how Luke Walster is going to be able to get on this lap time. Is the Haas driver. So it's Emil Lundell, Luke Walster. Kuba was able to go up into 3rd. Boris was able to go up into 5th it was at the time, but then was demoted slightly down, of course, with a few improvements coming in. One being with Felipe Salza. As we mentioned, Luke Walster has invalidated the lap time. So Luke Walster has invalidated. Kuba's into the pit lane. So now we're going to be seeing a lot of drivers diving into the pit lane because they want to be in sync with everyone else. They want to come out when the track is at the best at the end of this session, and that's when the margins are going to be super close between all of these drivers. And we're already getting a very close qualifying session. Exactly what we expected, but still, it could be anyone on pole. You have Emil Lundell at the front. He's always quick in qualifying, but We still could see a few surprises coming in. So I think we're going to be in for a really exciting ending with just over 4 minutes to go. So you can see everyone, most drivers are in the pit lane. Tyres Korsman is not one of them though. He is coming over the line and he is improving his time by 63 thousandths of a second. And he goes ahead into P5.
Yeah, Krajic's currently on a hot lap as well, 25 thousandths quicker in Sector 1, as we also saw Jane Tripkov jump over to P3. Quite a surprise to see him in there. Very nice to see him there too, as we see Krajic sliding a little bit into turn 10. Let's see if he did not lose too much time there as he makes his way to the end of the second sector, and he has lost too much indeed, so he's likely going to dive it into the pits to allow himself an extra lap at the end of this session. The first driver out there on track to go for their final lap is Sasha Neep out there with the McLaren, because with 3 minutes 30 on the clock, there's not enough time to do 2 laps. So most of the drivers that are currently in the pits will be waiting, creating some space for them, and then go for their final runs. But Sasha's going to start his final run out. Let's see how well he does. Currently in P16, about 4 tenths off the pole position.
4 tenths off pole position, and he finds himself in P16. That's how close it is around Interlagos. What improvement is Sasha Neeb going to be able to find? First of all, the main task is keeping it inside track limit. If you do find yourself though not improving, then you may want to go all in and try risk it, especially if you are in a lower position. He's down by 44 thousandths of a second is Sasha Neeb as he tries to now extract some more time through the technical second part of the lap.
Yeah, and diving into that technical second sector, was a little bit down on his own left and was about a tenth slower than we saw Emil Landeldu, who currently holds the pole time, but most time can be gained and lost here in the second sector as Sasha goes off the track. That was a huge snap that he got there, and it's quite a miracle that he didn't crash out the car there. Impressive save.
Impressive save indeed. Little trip through the grass, but continuing on for Sasha Neeb, who, if he does have enough fuel, will circulate round again with a little bit less ERS. As you can see right now on the steering wheel, you'll have just over 50% will Sasha Neeb, but he'll try push on, he'll try and find a better lap time then, but this is going to be really close stuff, as now all of the other drivers come out onto the circuit, including your top 2. They're all going to be making their way out, and now we're about to get the exciting battle for pole position.
Yeah, pretty much everyone out there on track now as Nico Vianney gets a penalty. That means we're going to get a lobby restarted. The last driver to start that lap time will be Tias Korsman, before that Felipe Salza. But we're now watching the driver that's once again going to start the last lap first. That is Sasha Neeb, of course, who will be hampered a little bit with less ERS. Let's see if that compromises his first sector. It does not actually, as he's 6 thousandths quicker than his previous lap time. But look at how busy it is in the second sector. He is going to approach those drivers in a moment. It looks like, no, yeah, that Mercedes was in the way.
Yeah, the Mercedes was in the way, and it meant that he touched the grass and he spun around. And that is such a disappointment for Sasha Neeb, who will see another lap time fade away until Tyus Korsman there. You can see we're on board with his teammate. We were. More drivers picking up penalties because they're all very much bunched up right now. We have Linus Donovan though, who has found a clean part of the circuit, unless they really back off in the last sector, but he may just be okay. So Linus Donovan pushing on. He's currently 13th and 14th for both Ferraris. The Scarlet Ferraris looking to find an improvement, but Linus Donovan wasn't interested in waiting around in the third sector. He wants to get on with it, and he will not have to deal with any of the traffic then, as he now comes down to the end of the second sector, up by almost 2.5 tenths of a second. So Linus Donovan, this looks like a good lap, and when you see improvements like that, it could mean that you jump up so many positions with how close the field is. So Linus Donovan about to come over the line. Can he get himself into the top 5? Linus Donovan over the line. He goes into 5th position. Does Linus Donovan? That is a great lap time there by him. As now we're going to watch Zach Miles as he will come over the line, second in the last race. Let's see if he can try and find an improvement. He's currently in 11th. Where does he go over the line? Zach Miles over the line. He goes up to 3rd. So Zach Miles up to 3rd then, and now they're all going to be coming over the line very quickly. Luke Walshaw's up though by 6 thousandths of a second in the first sector. Kuba goes into 3rd, so that's a good lap time there by Kuba. Ema Lundell about to come over the line. Can he try and upgrade his advantage at the front of the field? No. So he does not upgrade his advantage. Luke Walstow is up by 22 thousandths of a second. So Luke Walstow is going to have a chance to take the lap time away there and take pole position away from Emil Lundell. Luke Walstow about to come over the line. Has he been able to find enough time? He's found time, but not enough to move himself up there. Jane Tripkov has got onto the second row and he's got up into third position. Keep an eye though on Felipe Salza. Felipe Salza onto pole position. Felipe Salza said that he wasn't too strong in qualifying. He was better in the race, but he's found the lap time. He will be leading the field into turn number 1. That is absolutely incredible stuff there by Felipe Salza. Found the lap time right at the end, and he's on pole at his home Grand Prix.
What a way to show that you are the championship winner here at PSGL PCF4. Putting your car on pole position at your home Grand Prix. I don't think there is much more that you could ask for. That was a stellar final lap, and he's 11 thousandths quicker than Emil Lundell. Luke Walstow just lost 1,000th of a second in the final sector, but still 4 thousandths away from Emil Lundell. Top 3 within 15 thousandths of a second. Jane Tripkov and Kuba Trzeziak also in the 107.1. So 5 drivers within the same 10th of a lap. And then the rest, yeah, look at that. It's 172s all the way to P10, 173s to P13, and 4s to 16. And then the gaps start to increase a little bit more. But great qualifying session with a lot of drivers actually finding it out for pole. A couple of surprises out there as well. But the one driver that we can't be too surprised about is the man on pole position, Felipe Salza.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he says he's better in the race, let's see what his race pace is going to be. But I'm sure it's going to be a super competitive race. But that's how quick Felipe Salza is. Just finding the lap time right at the end. And also, you might not even have the outright pace. It's just about getting that last lap in when the track is at its best, not making a mistake, because drivers may have a bit more pace in them. They would have seen that earlier on in their practice, but when it comes to the real thing, they may make a mistake on their third and final run, and that could lose them some time. So executing it to perfection is definitely crucial, but we are going to have a lobby restart then, so we're going to quickly go for an ad break here from our lovely sponsors at GT Omega and SLC. Stick with us though. On the other side, we'll preview the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Wow, what a qualifying session that was, Mitt. And as I mentioned to you when of course you guys were watching the ad breaks, right at the end we always get that one driver who provides a shock. And yes, when you hear the name Felipe Salza at the front of the field, it maybe isn't a shock, but right at the end, no one really expecting him to get that pole position. I don't think he was expecting himself to get that pole position, but he ended up there. He ended up on pole, and that is absolutely incredible stuff by him there. So I think we're going to be in for an exciting race, and if his qualifying lap was so good and he says he's better in the race, let's see what sort of pace can he show here in the race.
Yeah, first thing that we have to figure out is we have to wait a little bit until the original lobby has started so we can see the weather conditions, so the drivers can load in those weather conditions. Once we've done so, we can create a new lobby so that the race can get underway. I believe we have 38 laps in total here today around the track here, Interlagos Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. one of the few Brazilian drivers that have won the race here. Of course, apart from the legendary Ayrton Senna. He won the race in 1976. And he is the bearer of this track since 1985, and it looks to be a little bit overcast.
And a rain
when we are going to start.
Rain at the end as well.
Yeah, might have some rain in the end, so this could be a very exciting race here around Interlagos tonight.
Oh, this is going to be absolutely brilliant. Rain at the end. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. And already the drivers already getting their reactions in. Oh, rain coming in. A lot of them not happy. Some would be happy. So, well, Mitt, we're going to have a similar finish to Canada, where we switched over to the rain late. Depends when it's going to come in and how much it's going to change.
Yeah.
So, let's see how it goes.
And it also depends when the DRS is going to be called up, because I remember in Canada it was called off so late, which caught a couple of drivers off guard. Perhaps here in Brazil we won't have that same issues, but yeah, DRS being fairly powerful here. And nonetheless, we have a banger of a race on our hands. The qualifying was already amazing to see, with the gaps being also close, and some drivers jumping to the top of the table last minute when we weren't expecting it. And yeah, the race now, with the rain that's going to be coming at the end, that is definitely going to compromise and change some of the strategies that these drivers must have had. I think we're in for a good one. The next 40-45 minutes are going to be amazing.
They are indeed. And it doesn't matter what circuit it is, literally every single one of them is very, very exciting as well then. So we are having a new lobby, I'm guessing, because I've just joined the lobby, which has only me and you. So it seems like we're going to be in a new lobby. So you'll have to join that, Mitt, and then I'll have to join after you. And then we should be able to get going. So do let me know once you join, so I'll quickly join as well. But yeah, 36 lap race, action all the way till the end, and we know that there's rain coming at the end. Possibly maybe even a last lap little shower. Doesn't matter. There's going to be some form of rain probably. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, as I think you've joined. So I will now get myself in. So then, of course, we're able to get you all of the action from the start straight away. And the drivers will learn their setups, and all of the usual procedures will begin. But here we go then. So I'm now just going to get myself in the lobby. And hopefully it does allow me in and everything is okay with that. There we go. So I'm in, spectating clicked. We're going to have rain at the end. We're going to have a dry race for the majority of it though. And a dry race, doesn't matter if it's dry or wet. It's always very exciting. In the dry, you of course get all of the DRS. So it's going to be fantastic to see with how many battles are we going to get. Drivers making their way through the field. So this is going to be close. And Mitt, could we get a prediction? Who do you think is going to get it? It's completely wide open, but you know, we like to get a few little predictions here and there.
Yeah, it's going to be completely wide open, and I think the best comparison that we can make is to Canada, where we saw also Felipe being super strong in the wet. So I don't think it will come to much surprise that I predict Felipe to get the race win here tonight. I think Emil Lundell is going to get a podium tonight, though. I think he's going to come through in second. And third place, I believe, is going to go to Zach Miles, who also did a stellar job back in Canada. So let's see if he can repeat that feat and put his car on the podium once more.
Yep, absolutely. So in Canada, it was Felipe Salza, Zach Miles, Yona Martins, Tristan Debecourt, and Alan Banaszak. Tristan Debecourt and Alan Banaszak having a great fight all the way in those last few laps as well in the wet, all the way till the finish. So we, of course, are going to, even if Felipe maybe decides that he wants to bolt away and run away with it to win his home race, then right at the end, even if he does that, you're going to have plenty of other battles all throughout the circuit, really close, exciting battles, and ERS management is going to be crucial in that, because you do not have DRS. Well, Canada, the game let DRS continue for a bit too long, really annoyed the drivers when the circuit was so wet. Even people in the chat were like, the circuit was so wet, but it was allowed. So unless we get something like that, it'll all be down to the ERS and the slipstream men. Also, making sure that you don't make any mistakes and putting the pressure on your rivals.
Yeah, so we definitely have to see around what lap the weather is going to come in. The way that we saw in the picture, the last two images were rain, so I do expect the rain to come around the latter stages of the 20 laps. So perhaps lap 27, 28 is when I predict the rain to come in. So I think most of the drivers will have to go for a two-stop. I think most of the drivers will start in the softs or mediums, then switch for softs or mediums, continue the stint on there, try to prolong the stint as much as they can. and then, of course, switch to the intermediate tires for the remainder of the race. I don't think it's going to be coming pouring down there, and even so, if it does go pouring, making that extra pit stop for just a few laps, I don't think it's going to be beneficial unless the rain, of course, comes a lot earlier and you might have the advantage of the wets for like 6, 7, 8 laps. Then it does become interesting. But other than that, I don't think we're going to be seeing too many offset strategies. So expect 2 pit stops here tonight. And yeah, I think most of the drivers will try to, well, maybe push a little bit at the start, but also prolonging it later on, because they do need to make sure that they can hold on long enough just until the rain comes and then dive in for inters.
Indeed as well.
It's very overcast indeed, as we can see.
Very overcast indeed, but this is going to be exciting stuff then. Here in Interlagos. And we're going to be in for a really chaotic race for sure. But, of course, the weather, you get to put in 3 slots for the weather. So, of course, it said rain at the end, so it's put dry, wet. But the game estimates that and puts it at different places. So maybe the first 2 stints are short and then we get rain for about 10 laps. Or we could get literally rain for 1 lap at the end, which doesn't require a tyre change. So it's always very different race on race with how that all does go. But one thing we can guarantee you is that most likely most of the race will be dry, and we are going to be in for an amazing penultimate race of the season. Championships wrapped up, but we're still going to get plenty of action. There's still plenty for the drivers to fight for and trying to impress before we move on to the next game. And here we go. We're about to go racing. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we go racing in Sao Paulo with a good reaction time from Felipe Salza. But the home hero is going to have to try and defend from Ema Lundell. But Felipe Salza has got the lead. Ema Lundell trying to dive to the inside. That could leave him vulnerable to Luke Wallstow. Are they all going to be able to make their way through the center S? Boris getting ahead of Tyres Korsman. Keanu Litard making up a few places as well. Boris has moved up. There is still Felipe Salza, the leader, as we go down to turn number 4. That's very close in the background. That's Tyres Korsman, Tristan Debecourt, and Zach Miles getting very close together. But it's exactly the start that Felipe Salza wanted at the front of the field. He's got the lead.
Yeah, and it looks like most drivers have actually opted for the hard compound, so I think most of them expect that they can do 1 long stint on the hards before changing, as we have yellow in sector 2. That is Nico Viani,
and Zach
who has
Miles
spun out, and also Zach Miles, who was stopped, so that ruins, at least for now, Zach Miles' hopes on ending on the podium as we predicted. Felipe Salza is actually the only driver on track on the mediums. We have 4 drivers on the softs, those being Jane Tripkov, Boris Zakosek, Tristan Debecourt, and Sasha Neeb. All the other drivers out on the hard. So it looks like 5 drivers have decided, okay, we're going to do 2 pit stops. I will need to switch for tires at least once, so medium, soft, medium, and then wait until the rain comes and then switch for the inters, where the other drivers think, okay, I think we can prolong our stint long enough on the hards, and then switch to the intermediate set of compounds.
So, the 2 Sauber drivers getting very close to each other. You've got Boris in 6th, Tristan Debecourt in 7th, and are they going to switch positions is the question. Further back, you have Kryzik trying to get past Sasha Neeb as well, who may have actually just overtaken because he's got the soft compound of tyres attached to the car. So they're all just making their way through single file right now. Ema Lundell doing very well to stick with Felipe Salza to say that we do not have any DRS at this stage of the race. Jane Tripkov has got the softs, so he'll be looking to try and attack as well. But we're just all making our way through single file stuff right now, and we will begin lap number 3, and this is when we'll start to see the DRS come into play. We could be getting a move here for 5th position, because you've got Boris on the soft really applying some pressure, and he'll use a bit of ERS. Will the Sauber driver down towards turn number 1, but it seems like Scuba has been able to pull away there in the second phase of the straight. Into turn number 1 we go. Fastest lap being traded first to Felipe Salza, now to Jane Tripkov as well, who is trying to put some serious pressure on right now. DRS is enabled, and now we're going to get exactly that. Can Jane Tripkov make the move for 2nd place? He's using ERS, he wants 2nd, and he's gonna get it now with the inside line. Can Jane Tripkov pick his breaking point? He can, and Jane Tripkov moves up to 2nd place as Ema Lundell gets demoted to 3rd, and Sasha Neeb on the soft tyres fights her way through to P12.
Yeah, it looks like at the start of the race, Kryzik has also had a little bit of coming together with some of the drivers. He's dropped from P7 to P15. The biggest gainer so far in the race, Sasha Neep from P17 to P12, 5 positions up, but also the Sauber pairing, Boris and Tristan, both 4 places gained, now found themselves in P6 and P7, and also 3 positions gained for Carlos Torres and Keanu Lito, so good starts for them so far. And yeah, Jane Tripkov starting in P4, now in P2, will try to chase down Felipe Salza on those mediums. But will indeed need to have a good first stint here on those softs, because they're definitely on an offset strategy compared to Emil Lundell. And yeah, it really does depend when the rain is going to come down, who is going to have the best strategy. So very curious to see how that's going to happen. But I think Jane will want to try and dispatch Felipe as quickly as possible. Might even do so down the Retro Pulse.
Could do indeed. We'll cut on to the man second, gaining with every meter that we make our way towards turn 4. And Jane Tripkov, with the soft tyres attached to the car, has taken the lead. Felipe Salza trying to come back, but he knows that he doesn't need to fight it so much at this stage. Jane Tripkov hits the front here in Brazil. And now Felipe Salza is going to be in second. Emil Lundell will be in third, the top 3. Starting to pull a little bit away from the man who currently sits in P4, Luke Warstow. So the top 3 trying to get a bit of a move on, and Luke Warstow has to try stick with them. The DRS going to be really crucial, sticking with each other. And it's Carlos Torres who finds himself alone right now, 1 second ahead, 1 second behind. And it's Keanu Lito who will be on the defensive with Linus Donovan giving chase. Felipe Salza though has stuck with Jane Tripkov, and he may try and pull the move back as we will come over the line then. And Felipe Salza in his home Grand Prix pulls alongside and retakes the lead of the race onto lap number 5. Felipe Salza back to the front.
Yeah, I think we're going to see these drivers leapfrog each other quite a bit. Maybe Jane Tripkov is going to try and go for the opportunity once more now down the Retro Posa. He did it here in the last lap. He is gaining, but this time he decides to stay behind and not really go for the overtake just yet. We do see some gaps starting to emerge as Linus Donovan and Keanu Lito are having a little bit of a fight for P10. But both of the Ferrari drivers fallen out of DRS range from the drivers up ahead. So we just have the top 8 in a DRS train, with Tias Korsman trying to hang on there on the back, 8/10 away from the soft runners up ahead. But Emil Lundell doing a good job on those hards to try and stay close to both Jane Tripkov and Felipe Salza. So that stays unchanged for now. Kreisig is starting to get closer to Daniel Gottschalk in P13. So a lot of gaps being quite close, and a lot of drivers we need to keep an eye on.
So, a lot of drivers indeed for us to keep an eye on. And Emil Lundell could be one of them. Jane Tripkov losing quite a lot of time in the middle sector of the lap. Brought the gap to 7/10. He'll gain a bit more of that now though, with how powerful the DRS is over the line. It'll mean that when we get to turn 1, he's 4/10 behind, and we're going to be seeing the move. With Keanu Lito getting past Linus Donovan won't be the only one. Daniel Gottschalk getting his way back past Sasha Neeb, who found their way through earlier on. And now they've been passed back. So Daniel Gottschalk back into 12th position. And is Sasha Neeb going to try shape for the move to the inside? Had a little look, but elects to sit behind as Linus Donovan now tries and Keanu Lito both try and get into the 1 second of Carlos Torres. And they seem to have done so. So we're going to have 2 trains in this one. One for the lead, one for P9.
Yeah, and this is particularly bad news for Carlos Torres. The gap up ahead, 2.3 seconds, going to be very tough to get back within that DRS range. So perhaps only in pit stops that will change. Yeah, behind him, he's going to be under relentless pressure by Keanu Lito, who is now up in P10. Has gotten a great overtake down on Linus Donovan on the previous lap, and might be able to now inch his way closer to Carlos Torres up ahead. Yeah, Carlos is going to lose time, more and more time in the laps to come, with most of these drivers staying out for quite some time. As we have someone joining us, not entirely sure why that is going on, as the race has been ongoing for 7 laps already, as we see McLaren trying to fight with Kreisig in the background. That's Sasha Neeb and Kreisig, so we have a good fight for P13 on around. Sasha trying to get past, almost making contact down the back of Kreisig, but he breaks a little bit sooner there, making sure they don't come together, and he stays behind Kreisig for a time being, although Kreisig seemingly is overtaking him because Sasha was ahead of him in the previous lap.
Through Ferradura we go then, and look at the pressure that Nardi Perez now is putting on Sashani. From the attack to the defense for him. So let's see if he's going to be able to stay ahead of Nardi Perez. But yeah, the person who joined us as Nardi Perez has a look to the outside backside of it. Also, Jane Tripkov has lost the 1 second out in front. So we'll be looking to the front to see if Jane Tripkov can try keep second. But the person who joined us must have been from someone's friend list. But they've realised that they're in the wrong lobby. So they have left. Now, Emma Lundell knows that he's got to try and get past Jane Tripkov, who will go to the inside. Can Emma Lundell go around the outside into turn 1? You can see that the Alpine driver has emerged in front out of turn 2, and Emma Lundell moves up to second place, and these guys have lost the 1 second gap ahead to Felipe Salza. Let's see if Emma Lundell can try and change that and get them back inside the 1 second.
Yeah, I think Emil Lundell knows that what he has to do is use some of the ERS here. He knows that he needs to get back within a second of Felipe, because otherwise Felipe will start to pull away more and more and more, and also leave him vulnerable for the drivers up behind, most notably to Jane Tripkov, at least for a time being. And it looks like Emil is already trying to sneak in within that second. And I don't think Felipe is going to mind too much here early on in the race. He knows he likely can't keep that gap with the drivers behind using quite a bit of ERS to do so. And yeah, with him also having the offset strategy, he doesn't really need to. So he can let the drivers within DRS range for a time being. And indeed, as they now make their way onto the back straight, the main start-finish straight, Emil Lundell has gone back in. But look at that, Jane Tripkov falling outside of 1 second of Emil Lundell. So it looks like the softs are really starting to give way now, at least for the Mercedes driver. And Luke Wolstow has now gotten past Jane Tripkov. So looks like the softs are already starting to reach the end of their duration, of their tire life. And that is only good news for all the other drivers. Actually, something that I haven't considered, because we will see the drivers switch to the intermediates. The driver that started on the mediums, Felipe Salza, can just decide to go for mediums again.
He could indeed, as Kuba gets past Jane Tripkov, and that's at turn 4, so they're not waiting around at all. They know that Jane Tripkov is really struggling, and they don't want to be stuck behind for another lap, so they want to try and get the moves done as soon as possible. So Luke Wolstow now, also right on the back of Emma Lundell, or trying to get right on the back. It's Emma Lundell who's the one who's pushing Felipe Salza. So the hards now starting to look a little bit more better on lap number 9 of this race. And Felipe Salza is going to have his mirrors full of Emma Lundell down to turn number 1. Whether Emma Lundell decides to make the move, that is going to be another story. But here we go then. We make our way out of the final corner down towards turn number 1, foot to the floor. DRS going to go open again. But yeah, the rain's going to come in, so that can completely change the strategy up. And Emma Lundell electing to not go for the move. So he could have made the move into turn 1. He decided not to go for it. So he's going to charge up his ERS, sit behind, and look to pounce later on. One man who isn't going to sit behind is Carlos Torres, who gets past Keanu Litard, who will now have a chance to fight back down towards turn number 4. Will Keanu Litard, let's see if he can try and get back through. He's got DRS, he's not using any ERS, he'll be able to pull alongside, and Carlos Torres will try and defend, but Keanu Litard is going to get through all the way around the outside of 4, and Torres backed out of that one. He knows that it's not worth fighting it into the braking zone when they've already got a 3.2 seconds gap ahead.
Yeah, and also interesting to see now, because our first stop has already happened. That was Sasha Neeb, now finds himself in P18. When he made the pit stop, 17.3 seconds behind. That gap has now already shrunk to 16.8 seconds. So it looks like the new hards are definitely a little bit quicker, although Sasha is going to prolong the stint as much as he can so that he can stay on the hards until the rain does come out. So I think he's timed that quite well to fit in within the stints that he needs to drive. All the other drivers, I'm very curious to see how they're going to make it play out. As we mentioned earlier on, starting on the hards could mean you can increase your stint as long to make sure you last all the way until the rain drops, and then go for your one and only pit stop. As for the other drivers, the ones on mediums and softs, they definitely are going to do a two-stopper. But maybe some of the hard runners will do two-stopper as well. I'm not entirely sure. I guess only time will tell, but so far the drivers up ahead not electing to switch too much, and also Carlos Torres has decided to stay behind Keanu Lito for the time being. So not a lot of overtakes happening at this moment. Perhaps we will see in a bit that TS Korsman is going to contest Tristan Debicor, because those softs are slowly starting to give way.
They are indeed. and we get exciting and action-packed racing literally every time we go PSGL racing here. So the race easily in a matter of seconds can explode and erupt, and I'm sure it will be later on with the rain coming. When is it going to arrive? That is going to be the question. The game can put it at really different points. We expect it to be near the end of the race, but the clouds are overcast. So it's going to be overcast till we get to that point. So let's see when we'll start getting the first few drops. Still though, a long way to go in this one. We're still waiting for the first few pit stops to come in, and that is Carlos Torres getting his way past Keanu Litard into turn number 1. So Carlos Torres moves up to P9 in a Ferrari sandwich. Right now is Keanu Litard. Daniel Gottschalk with good drive off the corner. He's stuck behind Linus Donovan, and they will make their way down to turn number 4 once again. And they're all still just looking to pounce. They're still losing time to the cars ahead right now. So the leading group doing very well to try and extend the gap by a few tenths per lap.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, the gap from Sachani before that was 17.3 seconds, now 13.8. So gaining with a little over a second a lap on those fresher compounds. So it shows how much of an advantage that does give. Of course, he did have to make an extra pit stop for that, so has lost quite a few positions as a result of it. But I think this also shows that if the rain does come around the late 20 laps, as we were predicting earlier on, around lap 28, then I think a two-stop strategy so far will be the best one. It looks like the softs not really starting to give away too much yet. Jane Tripkov is still able to keep up with Kuba Tresiak up ahead, and Tias is still not contesting Tristan Debicor for P7. As Linus Donovan and Daniel Gottschalk are having quite a tussle there. And look at that side-by-side going through the Senna S's, leaving each other not a lot of space, but just enough so that Linus Donovan can stay ahead and Daniel Gottschalk doesn't go off the track. But Daniel is now going to dive down to the inside. That is a risky move. We've seen this go wrong with 2 Ferraris before. This time it's 2 Ferrari engines. They do keep each other both on track. And look at that. Down the inside comes Kryzix. He's going to stay around the outside here. This is a very daring move. There's not going to be enough space, and he'd get pushed off the track a little bit. Very good fighting here at lap 13, but that is on the verge of being clean.
Right on the edge stuff there as Kryzix tried to go all the way around the outside of Ferradura, but was shown the rear wing of the Ferrari once more then. Brilliant battling on the lap, and it was really close down to turn 4, squeezing each other all the way to the apex, and we are about to do it once again then. They come over the line. Let's see now if Kryzix can try and clear his rival down to the first corner, but there's going to be some battling up ahead now. So we've got some battling into turn 1. That's Tyus Korsman up against Boris. So Korsman gets ahead of Boris. You've got Tristan Debicor ahead as well. Now let's see if Tyus Korsman can try and fight back. He's not got a lot of ERS. And there, all 3 of them pushing on right now. We'll go back to the battle behind them and see if Kryzix can try get past Linus Donovan, pulling out of the slipstream as well. But some great battling out in front between the 2 Saubers and the Mercedes of Korsman. But they got to be careful. They don't battle too much or they'll lose the 1 second to Jane Tripkov. But Korsman on the hards tries to now find his way through on the drivers with the degrading soft compound of tires.
Yeah, it looks like the softs really are starting to reach the end of their lives. So I would expect him to come in within a few laps and then switch for the mediums depending on how long. I think the mediums can last for a good 15, 16 laps. So if they come in now, they should be able to extend their stint till about lap 30, in which we do predict that the rain would have already come. So I think they can come in within a lap or 2, and most likely they will do so indeed. All the other drivers, definitely the hard is going to stay out more. Jane Tripkov has now come into the pits. He seemed to be struggling the most for tires, so it's not unexpected that he does come in. But because he came in, means that Tristan Debicor is now vulnerable for Tias Korsman behind. Remember, Boris Zakosek was actually ahead of Tristan Debicor earlier on, now no longer is. And now with the DRS, Tias Korsman will start to have a look down the inside, but decides to stay behind into the Descida del Lago. So we'll have to wait until the start-finish straight before he can make an overtake. But I would assume one of the Zauber drivers is going to make a pit stop now at the end of lap 15. The only question is, will that be Tristan Debicor or Boris Zakosek?
Which one is it going to be, is the question. But Tyus Korsman is going to be hoping that it's Tristan Debicor, because he's already cleared Boris. He's got Tristan Debicor, though, that he's struggling to pass right now. He's in the dirty A, stuck behind that Sauber driver all throughout right now these corners. let's see. Is it going to be the car ahead? Is it going to be the car behind? Or is it going to be neither? But we do expect that at least one of them will dive it in. The softs are fading. They're, of course, not going to double stack. And let's see. Is Tristan Devico heading to the pit lane? With his line, we assume that he is. And he is going to be diving into the pit lane. So Boris will be sent round once again. Here we go. Battle on the brakes for the race lead. Emil Lundell to the inside. He gets ahead of Felipe Salza. So the mediums will be starting to fade for Felipe Salza. And Emil Lundell takes the lead. Can he hold it though? Because Felipe Salza is coming back. And with DRS, Felipe Salza retakes the lead of the race into turn number 4. Felipe Salza back to the lead. Emil Lundell in second. And we're still maintaining the same order for the drivers as they go through that. They went into turn number 1. Kryzix and Linus Donovan, bit of contact. Linus Donovan squeezing Kryzix off the road, who will rejoin and will be behind still.
Yeah, and it looks like James Tripkov has completed the undercut onto Tristan Devicourt, ahead by quite a margin, although we can't see the exact margin just yet. I assume it's about a second and a half that Tristan now finds himself behind Tripkov. So once the other drivers are going to be coming in, they will definitely come out behind James Tripkov, at least for the time being. Up ahead, yeah, Emil Lundell definitely amping up the pressure onto Felipe. I think Felipe is going to stay out till about lap 19, maybe lap 20, likely lap 19. That's when he's going to dive it into the pits. Boris Zakosek likely is going to make his pit stop now, as he indeed does dive in. And the other hard runners, yeah, I think they'll just, at some point, they have to make a call. Are we going to go for a bit of an earlier pit stop, early lap 20, so lap 21, 22, or do we stay out, wait for the rain, and make a one-stop? They will have to decide in a moment when they think the rain's going to come out, and that will be the best strategy for them. But yeah, the soft runners switching to the mediums, and yeah, for Felipe, I'm very curious to see if he's going to switch to the softs, or if he's going to stay on the mediums, knowing full well that he will need to switch to the inters later on anyways.
Kryzix and Linus Donovan still battling out there on the circuit. Talking about a battle, we've got a very close battle here between Zach Miles and Tristan Devicourt, but not for too long, because Zach Miles, of course, hasn't made a pit stop. Tristan Devicourt has, and he's fighted his way through there at turn 4, but lap 17 of this one. So Felipe Salza was able to hold off Emil Lundell on that lap, and Emil Lundell may be sitting behind, but he's got the ERS if he wants to charge, and when he wants to make the move. But of course, he knows that if he does make the move, Felipe Salza has an opportunity to come charging back on the second straight. So maybe is it better to sit behind, going on to the or going through the first straight, then maybe going through on the second straight if he does want to make the move that is. So let's see, Emil Lundell out of the corner. Into the pit lane comes Daniel Gottschalk, and now foot to the floor stuff for the Alpine driver, who isn't going to be close enough unless he uses ERS, which he isn't going to do. So Emil Lundell fine to sit behind once again then. So it's still Felipe Salza, Emil Lundell, Luke Wolstow, Kuba Tresniak, and Tyus Korsman, the top 5 in this one. The top 11 haven't pit so far, along with Zach Miles and Nico Viani. Everyone else has made a pit stop in this race so far.
Yeah, I think this is a very good strategy from Daniel Gottschalk. I think he's going for a little bit of a safe strategy here. He's stopping a little bit earlier on those hards, which means, okay, I think I can do a pretty decent stint on the mediums before I need to switch over to the hards. So I have a little bit of an ideal setup for that. But also, in the rare event that it doesn't rain whatsoever, he still will have enough time to make it all the way to the end. So using a little bit of a safe strategy, and if it does start to rain just before lap 30, he's got the ideal strategy right here, right now, and he's going to gain a few positions as a result. So definitely need to keep an eye out for the other drivers. Emil Lundell, once again, getting very close to Felipe Salza up ahead. Looks like Tyus Korsman is going to try and do the same thing as Daniel Gottschalk did, as he's now into the pits. Noel Carman also finds himself into the pits, as he gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. The other drivers still staying out. And for Felipe, it's going to be a great question. What tires is he going to put on? So we have yellow in sector 1. That is a Ferrari. That's car. So we have a safety car.
Safety car is out. Carlos Torres has had issues. He's gone off the road. He's lost his front wing. And Carlos Torres finds the barrier. And we've got a safety car out on the circuit. So Carlos Torres has hit the wall. And we don't know if there was contact or did he lose it on his own. But we do have a safety car on the circuit. That will mean that everyone will be coming into the pit lane. And just like that, the race changes up once more. This is now going to be a really exciting restart to this one. But safety cars out here at Brazil on lap number 19 after Carlos Torres has hit the barrier.
This is terrible news for the drivers that have just gone for their pit stop. So Jane Trepkov is going to lose some positions as a result. Tristan Debicor will as well. T.S. Korsman just making the pit stop before the safety car came out. Same thing for Noel Carmen, but also Boris Zakostak and Daniel Gottschalk being on the losing end of it here. Felipe just extending his stint long enough in order to stay out and now go for the pit stop under the safety car. Let's see which tires he is going to go to, because that was one of the things that we were wondering about. Is he going to the softs? It looks like there are softs ready, and indeed he has opted for the softs. I think the hard runners, Emil Lundell's actually gone for the mediums. I think most drivers are indeed going to go for the mediums, so Felipe will be on the offset strategy. I think Felipe really does expect, okay, this is going to be a wet race at the end. Let's try and pull a gap and then get an early pit stop in and then go for a good run. I want to have the softest rubber out there, as the other drivers are opting for a more safe strategy. So even if the rain does not come in, they will have the best tires at the end. And it looks like some other drivers have also opted to make an extra pit stop. Jane Tripkov has decided to do so. Tristan Debicor actually has decided not to do so and finds himself in P4. As for T.S. Korsman, he still finds himself in P5. So I guess the safety car wasn't all that bad for him just now. And Daniel Gottschalk, also P9, hasn't lost too much. So doesn't look to be too bad for them. And yeah, Jane Tripkov definitely going for the safe strategy, going for an extra pit stop here.
So, if you've already made a pit stop, of course you want the freshest rubber as well to be competitive. Your race has already pretty much been ruined a bit due to the safety car. So those drivers all also putting on fresh set of mediums. Daniel Gottschalk's mediums are used slightly though, and Felipe Salza is the only driver on the soft compound of tires. So he'll be trying to pull away, but he'll be really hoping that the rain comes really quickly. And let's see if Emil Lundell can put any pressure on Felipe Salza to try and get involved. Now, when is the rain going to come? Now, as you mentioned, for me it could really come from any point from here really, because the game estimates it. Sometimes it really shortens the stint of the first and second part of the race. It really just estimates it and put it somewhere, so it could be literally on the last lap, it could be right at the end, it could be in a few laps time. Who knows when the rain is going to come? We expect it, but we don't know when it's going to come though, so it could come at any point, and the drivers will definitely need to try and react to when the rain will come. And Felipe Salza, as you mentioned, will be hoping that it basically comes as soon as possible. After a few laps of green flag racing, we'll be hoping that it comes as soon as possible. He'll have a few seconds over the rest of the field, and he'll be able to then pit, as will everyone, onto the set of the Inters, depending on when what stage it is. Some drivers may stick it out if it's later on, and it all depends on the timing really of when the rain comes and when the circuit becomes wet enough. That's really going to decide Felipe Salza's race.
Yeah, so we know that the rain is going to come out because we had a restart. We saw that the session weather is going to be cloudy, and then wet, which means that in the last third, so the last 12 laps technically, we can see rain. So from lap 24 onwards, it is possible that we get rain. Now, because of the safety car, of course, that rain could come a little bit sooner. We can expect it to come a lap sooner because the safety car has been out on track. I personally was predicting around lap 28, so that might be lap 27 now. But as Omi already mentioned, it could also come at the final stages, the last few laps. So it really is everyone's guess as to when the rain's going to come. The safety car will come in this lap, though, but the drivers will have more information about when the rain is going to come. Of course, we won't hear that. We will just see the rain fall down as soon as it comes down. But for Felipe, it is now a task to put in some quali runs, try and break that DRS toll, so that once DRS does get reactivated at the start of lap 24, that he's got a second to Emil Lundell. So now needs to start at the right moment, is trying to wait as long as possible. And I think just after this corner here, the Subida dos Boxes, turn 14, he is going to put it pedal to the metal. He's actually decided to wait a little bit longer, so perhaps until turn 15 then, Arquibancadas, the bleachers, when he is going to start. Should start any moment now. He's really waiting a very long time, and there he goes. There goes Felipe Salza, and it looks like he's caught Emil Lundell a little bit napping, because Emil Lundell immediately under pressure by the drivers behind. Luke Bolstow, Tristan Debicor, Boris Zakosek gets past the Korsman.
Korsman looking for the move into turn number 1. So, a late restart meant that we had a lot of side-by-side. And that's Kuba trying to get past as Jane Tripkov picks up a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. And that is going to be Kuba getting past Keanu Litard. And Kuba is also going to try and get past Korsman. Is he going to go all the way around the outside? He's going to be shown the curb, but he's going to keep his foot in. And now we're going to be side-by-side up towards Ferradura. Amazing action on this restart. Kuba with the inside line. Does Kuba have the position? Korsman's going to keep his foot in, but he'll now be out wide, and that will open the door for Keanu Litard. The two drivers who battled it out a lot in F5 last season, close to battling it out here in Brazil now in season 36 in F4, but Korsman stays ahead. More battling as Jane Tripkov is dropping down. Krajic's trying to go all the way around the outside. Zach Miles being shoveled wide by Linus Donovan, and that's going to be super close as keeping his foot in, and they're getting past Jane Tripkov. Krajic's was really determined there to keep his foot in, and that was really close between the two of them. Can Keanu Litard try and get past Tyus Korsman? As we go towards turn number 1. What about Kuba trying to get past Boris? And Boris squeezing Kuba there and making Kuba back out of it. 8/10 of a second, 9/10 of a second between the top two as Felipe Salza, as we expected, tries to pull away. And Kuba, can he now try and get past into turn number 4? He is low on ERS, so he may need to just sit behind. Doesn't want to waste much of it. Nardi Perez defending. Jane Tripkov nearly going on the grass to try and get through. Late on the brakes, and Jane Tripkov powers away by to P10. That was great driving by Jane Tripkov. Found a gap on the inside, was late on the brakes, and moves up to P10.
Yeah, this is exactly what you want to see, because the drivers know that the rain is going to come out shortly. They know that they can go all out on these sets of compounds, so they're not holding back, using a little bit of ERS, trying to stay within second of one and another. And it looks like Emil Lundell has succeeded to stay within, but that's a mistake for Kuba Trzeziak as he loses a few positions.
Whoa.
They're 3 wide. They're 3 wide into turn 12.
Oh, can you believe what we're seeing? Korsman getting them all. They were all battling, making their way through. And now that's Kuba who has been passed. And here comes Daniel Gottschalk. Daniel Gottschalk has got past Kuba. He's gaining on Boris. Can he get past Keanu Litard as well? As we see Boris trying to squeeze there. Daniel Gottschalk, who is going to get the inside. And he is going to get past. Boris, though, keeps his foot in. And that's going to be so close on the exit. And Daniel Gottschalk has got through. Kuba's going to have a chance to now fight back against the Sauber driver. And Kuba trying to get past Boris. He's going to try dive to the inside. They know that the rain's coming, and they're all trying to make as much as overtakes as they can right now. And Boris gets pushed wide as Kuba moves up to P8.
This is some amazing racing right now. We're just on lap 24 of 36, but because we know that the rain is going to come out, these drivers are giving it absolutely everything. Jane Tripkov has gone past Boris Zakosek as well. Boris Zakosek is still trying to keep his car in there. He does still try to look for the inside, but immediately under pressure by Nardi Perez just behind. Remember, Nardi Perez started in P18, didn't really go for a quality run as he usually does. Now finds himself close to the point finishes. But up ahead, Emil Lundell has managed to stay within the DRS range of Felipe Salza. Luke Wolso has managed to do the same as well. Then there is a gap to Tristan Debicor. He's, of course, in the older set of mediums, so it looks like the real fight is going between the top 3. But look at that. Tias Korsman getting very close to Tristan Debicor up ahead. Tia's having a very good run so far after he made that pit stop just before the safety car came out. Had a little bit of slide there into the first corner, into the Senna S's. So he's under pressure by Keanu Litard.
All getting super close. Nardi Perez past Boris there. So, Nardi Perez moving up. And we're on lap number 25. And we're going on board with cars to see when we are going to see the first few drops coming in. The rain can easily start to fall. And when is the rain going to start to come? The first few drops will indicate that. And they're all in a train. Take a look at this. 3.6 seconds. Tristan Debicor, the leader. 3.6 seconds ahead. The top 3 have walked away with this one right now. And it's Tristan Debicor who is backing them all up. So this could be really close into turn number 1. Kuba very close to the back of Daniel Gottschalk as they will make their way towards turn 1. Korsman's going to be on the attack, so will Litard, and they're all going to be battling for all sorts of positions as we go down there. So Tristan Debicor is the leader. Will he be able to maintain that position though when we exit through the center S? Tias Korsman is moving ahead, so Korsman moves up to P4. It'll be Tristan Debicor in 5th, but he'll now have Litard on the back. Can Debecourt try fight back against Korsman. What about Leetard now? Can he try attack? Boris has been given a penalty. And Debecourt trying to defend. Leetard trying to go all the way around the outside while these two battle. They're getting closer to Tyus Korsman. And that's going to be an opportunity for Debecourt to go to the inside of Korsman. That's compromised his line. And here comes now Keanu Leetard trying to get through. That is so close to contact between the two of them. Is Keanu Leetard going to put the car on the outside of Ferradura? This would be absolutely brilliant from Keanu Leetard, who is still in there. He's still keeping his foot in. And Tristan Debecourt squeezing him all the way through, and Keanu Leetard has got the inside line. He's got 5th place.
That must have been one of the best overtakes I've seen so far this season. Overtaking round the outside at a point where you really can't do it, but Keanu Leetard has managed to make it sick, keeps his car there, and now finds himself in P5. Stellar performance by the man now in P5 as Tristan Debecourt is starting to fall away a little bit. Daniel Gottschalk, the next man to try and pass him, is already side by side with him down the start-finish straight, finds himself in P6, so he's trying to hopefully gain on 2 tiers as well. Boris Zakosek also starting to lose a few positions. He's fighting with Linus Donovan now. Linus Donovan has gone past, and Felipe Salza has been overtaken by Emil Lardell. We have a new race leader, and it's Zach Miles is out. Boris Zakosek is out.
Safety car.
Safety car.
Safety car's out. Boris Zakosek out of the race. So is Zach Miles. It seems like those two have had it coming together exactly at the moment that Emil Lundell takes the lead of the race. So Emil Lundell now takes the lead, and we're going to have another reset in this one. The rain could come in the safety car period. Do you box for softs? Do you stay out there? What do the drivers do? This race changing, or literally changing second after second. So many great battles, and that definitely has to be a great overtake by Keanu Leetard. One of the best of the season, keeping his foot in. But the race, once again, completely changing on its head. Lap 27, rain expected at the end. We are at the end, and now we're on a safety car period, and that will delay the race further from its ending. So that means that the rain could come earlier. And now, what do the drivers do? Usually, if there's no rain expected, everyone onto softs at this moment. But do you maybe decide to stay out and expect the rain to come under the safety car period? What do the drivers do here?
They do come in.
So they're all going to be coming into the pit lane now. So they're all diving it in. So it seems like they're all going to pit maybe for the soft combat of tyres, with possibly maybe 1 or 2 drivers staying out there and just hoping for the rain. And yes, we are going to get that. So we're going to get Kuba staying out there. We're going to get Jen Tripkov staying out there. What they're going to hope is that the rain comes under the safety car period myth, and that would mean that everyone dives it in, and those two will be the leaders.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much your strategist's nightmare. I think if any of the Ferrari strategists are watching this, I think they're very happy that this is an online race and this is not happening really right now. Because this must have been a nightmare. Like, what do you go for? Do you stay out? Do you go for the softs? Or do you wait 1 or 2 laps and go out in the intermediates? This really is just guessing with a blindfold on. It is very, very tough to guess, and we've seen the drivers make 2 different decisions. Most of the drivers have opted for the softs, and a couple of drivers that realize, okay, we will be double stacking, we are going to lose positions as a result, might as well just stay out, hope for the best, hope that the rain is going to come soon, then make the pit stop with everyone else, and yeah, hope for the best in that sense. So, very curious to see how the drivers are going to do it, but yeah, with the drivers now out on softs, if the rain is not heavy enough, the drivers on softs can also make it all the way to the end. As for the guys on mediums, if the rain does not come now, they're not going to score any points. They are going to fall out of contention. They're going to drop all the way down the order. If the rain does come out, they've got a great strategy, and they might still be able to score some points, although Jane Tripkov does have a penalty to his name. So, it's anyone's guess now, really.
This is going to be unbelievable stuff then. And we're on board with Emil Lundell. We're going to stay on board with him for the majority of this safety car period at least, because we want to see when the rain drops, and when the rain drops start to come, then we will get our answer. And this could be amazing. Can the soft drivers try find their way through immediately on this restart? You're going to be seeing a lot of overtaking from all of the drivers. They're all going to attack, but then we might not even see them pit onto inters. So it might just be a survival game out there on the circuit where they're all trying to keep their cars pointing in the right direction, with cars going left, with cars going right. We could be in for some exciting finish to the end of this race, and I'm all for it right now. And I'm sure all the drivers are going to be really, really looking forward and getting excited for this one. Depends what position you are in, though. The top two are going to be hoping that the rain comes basically now at the earliest opportunity, and that means that everyone dives it in and they still have a good position. Wow, this has really been an extraordinary race where the drivers have had to be on the top of everything the strategy especially, and with the rain coming in at the end, it's going to cause so much chaos here. How is this one going to end? And we're just waiting for Noel Carmen to get onto the back of the safety car, but this is going to be some finish. When does the rain start to fall? When are the drivers, how much positions will the drivers on the mediums lose if the rain does not come? Can the drivers, if we do go to the end, if the rain falls very late, then do we see them all continue on, which there's only a few laps to do so they probably will be, and then they're going to have to try and keep it on the circuit. The safety car is going to be coming in. Do remember, the man in second does have a penalty. So, Jane Tripkov, if it was to go to wet and they maintain 1 and 2, he still has a penalty. So that will hurt him in this race. But here we go. We're about to go racing for what will surely be some of the best laps of the season that you will see. Kuba is the race leader. Will it be the same way though? As we go towards turn number 1. Rain could come any second, and you're going to have everyone but 2 drivers on the soft compound of tyres, and it's Kuba and Jane Tripkov leaving this restart very, very late indeed, as they will come over the line, and Kuba has gone. So Kuba takes us to green flag racing conditions, and Emil Lundell already trying to go on the attack, trying to go round the outside of the center S. Can he move up to second position? He's got the inside, and Emil Lundell moves up to second position, and Kuba surely won't put up too much of a fight. He's got his teammate right ahead, and Kuba is going to be he's going to let Emil Lundell through there as we see more battling. Felipe Salza dives to the inside, and James Tripkov has been passed as well, and it seems like we've had a bit of chaos as Tristan Debecourt's gone off, and Kryzix has had issues, and Felipe Salza being squeezed, and Jane Tripkov and Luke Warstow making a bit of contact, but continuing on is Jane Tripkov, and Korsman now dives to the inside as well.
Yeah, and Felipe Salza is trying to have a good fight with Kuba Traziak here as well. Stays on the outside, almost gets pushed there a little bit, but diving it into the Bico de Pado turn 10, has gone the overtake stick, so now has to go on the charge on towards Emil Lundell. We're now about to approach the final 5 laps of the race. It looks like there's no rain out there, but seeing that Felipe is starting to struggle already a little bit, I think the rain should be imminent. The rain should be coming any moment, at any moment's notice. It's really waiting for that, but all the while when we've been hyping up the rain and saying that the best is yet to come, I mean, look at the races, look at the laps we've just had. We've had some amazing fights, some amazing overtakes, and it just keeps getting better and better.
Nardi Perez now trying to attack Jane Tripkov, and as you mentioned, we've had some amazing racing in the dry, and even we still haven't had the wet, and we don't know what's going to happen with that. Sasha Neeb has a look to the inside, sits behind though, and now there's going to be an opportunity for Nardi Perez to try and get through. Korsman very close to the back of Kuba, so we could be getting a few dive bombs coming in very, very shortly. We'll ride on board of the Mercedes, who will dive to the inside late on the brakes, finds the gap to the inside, but Kuba holds in there. He keeps his position. Does Kuba, who keeps P4, and there's battle though further back, and that is Linus Donovan getting past Jane Tripkov. That's late on the brakes, and Jane Tripkov has been spun around by Sasha Neeb momentarily, and that's going to allow actually Sasha Neeb has spun around in the second phase of the contact there. So it was Jane Tripkov who got half spun there, but it was Sasha Neeb who went fully round. So the McLaren driver spinning around and has lost a lot of positions in that one. Still battling, crazy battling over the line as we see Korsman get past Kuba. Jane Tripkov is being passed by Nico Viani, who's going round the outside, and Nico Viani able to get through there, and now here comes Noel Carmen to look for a way through on the inside. DRS has been enabled. Still no sign of the rain, but it's still very dark. It could come any second. Jane Tripkov has been passed, and here comes Daniel Gottschalk to now go round the outside.
Fights are happening all the way throughout as Felipe is starting to struggle to stay within a second of race leader Emil Lundell. Luke Walso is just behind there. Trias Korsman 1.4 seconds away. Kuba Traziak trying to hold up the field quite a bit as Nico Viani also under pressure by Noel Carmen and Daniel Gottschalk. So many fights happening all the way throughout as I'm trying to keep an eye on the weather if I'm starting to see any raindrops, but for the time being there are none. We are in lap 32 of 36. We are approaching the final few laps of this race, and yeah, as I mentioned before, we've had quite a fight so far, but really huge shout out to Kuba Traziak out there. He's been holding on the mediums for about 3 laps now and has only lost 4 positions. That is hugely impressive.
Hugely impressive. but there's only little he can do. But he's still going to try to defend this. Nardi Perez being squeezed all the way. And here comes Linus Donovan now trying to make a move. So Donovan moves up to P6. He gets past. Akuba past there by 2 cars. Noel Coleman past Nico Viani into the first turn. Out in front, you've got Felipe Salza, 1.2 seconds behind. Luke Wolster is in third. So it's Ema Lundell being chased by Felipe Salza. So Felipe Salza has no ERS. So he's trying all he can to try to close this gap in. But this could be bad for Felipe Salza if when he does get onto the back. Same for Luke Wolstow, and at the front, but same for Ema Lundell. So this will just come right now onto their race pace and how much they can push. Quali lap after lap they'll need, as Felipe Salza tries to get inside the 1 second of Ema Lundell, but all three have absolutely burnt their ERS down right now. Here's Keanu Litard. Can he make a late dive to the inside of Kuba? No, he's going to sit behind.
Yeah, so for the drivers still out there on the mediums, they did not come in at the second safety car trying to hold it out because we know that the rain is going to come. But as we are approaching the final 3 laps, there's still no sign of any raindrop. So I don't think the drivers will have to go for a pit stop whatsoever. Felipe Salza really needs to try and get within a second of Emil Lundell. Starting to get closer and closer, but it's still just a little bit too far away as Keanu Lito goes with the overtake onto Kuba Trzeziak. Now means that Kuba Trzeziak has a little bit of breathing space because Noel Carmen behind is just too far away. As look at that, Daniel Gottschalk and Nico Viani going side by side through the Senna S is just staying on the track for a time being. But Nico Viani wants to go for once again an overtaking move. Almost a Vettel and Leclerc action there as well. But it will be Nico Viani. No, actually not. They're still side by side going off the track as Daniel Gottschalk almost loses it there. But there's Nico Viani winning out the fight there. We're still on it now, and as we go...
Oh, it's raining. It's raining.
It is now raining indeed.
The rain has arrived. So it will be a last few laps of survival. The rain coming in very late. We're on board with our champion, our confirmed champion of the season, trying to win his home Grand Prix. He's got 1.3 seconds ahead. But now the drivers will try and survive out there with 2 laps to go while battling amongst each other. And Luke Wolstow is going to try and get past Felipe Salza. These could be the last few moments of DRS. And Luke Wolstow is in the slipstream. He's going to the outside. He's got DRS open. Has the Haas driver. And Luke Wolstow moves up to second position. Battle for fourth as Nardi Perez makes his way through, and Nardi Perez now moves up to P4. It's Korsman now down to P5, and let's see, can Felipe Salza try and come back? Brilliant racing here between all of these drivers as they make their way through, and Nardi Perez, who has had a best finish of P8, currently running in P4. What a finish this, what a drive this would be for him. But the rain is coming, and we've also got plenty now for the drivers to contend with. They're going to have to try and keep it on the circuit while also trying to push on and trying to close the gap. Luke Wolster, can he try get onto the back of Ema Lundell? We're going to have one more lap to go after this one to decide who takes victory. Can all the drivers keep it on the road? And Ema Lundell 1 second away, so it doesn't seem like Luke Wolstow at least is going to make the move in the traditional overtaking part on the traditional overtaking parts, but possibly later on in the lap if Ema Lundell does struggle. We make our way now through the final few corners, and it's foot to the floor using all of the ERS the drivers have now, and this is going to be all about skill through the second part of the lap especially, and he's going to be gaining with the DRS. So Luke Wolstow is going to have DRS to try and get close and close, and then he's going to have to try and pull the move. Into turn number 1 we go. Ema Lundell's got the lead. Luke Wolstow's got second. Felipe Salza in third. It's close though for P4 as Nardi Perez is having to defend by Tyres Korsman, who will surely be trying to get through as well using a bit of ERS. It's Tyres Korsman trying to get close, but look how much it's raining now, and Nardi Perez is having to defend. Here comes Korsman. Can he go round the outside of 4? The track is wet. They're still battling though, and Korsman's going to be pushed off wide, and they're still going to go side by side. This could easily result in contact for the 2 drivers, but Korsman's got the inside, and still Nardi Perez refuses to yield. They won wheel to wheel, and it seems like that Korsman's going to be ahead, but Nardi Perez fights back. He goes off the road slightly. He's wide, and that will open the door for Linus Donovan to try and find a way through. It's still 0.8 of a second out in front though. Can Linus Donovan dive to the inside? Nardi Perez thought he was going to do that. He saw that one coming. Back to the front of the field though. Ema Lundell, DRS is now disabled. Now the drivers will really be struggling. But if Ema Lundell can make his way to the final braking zone, which he's done, now the final few corners remain for him. And Ema Lundell, what an amazing drive for him, who won in France, but due to a penalty was removed of that victory, is going to take victory here in Sao Paulo. Ema Lundell wins here in PSGL. He beat home Luke Warstow in an amazing race all the way till the end, in a race where they had to contend with the weather and a lot of hard strategy decisions, but it's been Emil Lundell who has timed it and done it all to perfection. He is your winner. Luke Warstow in second. Felipe Salza gets a podium in his home race. Korsman in fourth. And Nardi Perez in fifth. What a race.
What a race it was indeed. The rain coming also late, not really having too much to do with any changing in positions, as it really meant that Kuba Trzeziak and Jane Tripkov have been dealt the short end of the stick. But look at Nardi Perez. Started in P18 at the back of the grid, finishing in P5 after a close fight with T.S. Korsman. So an amazing result by the Williams driver. And most notably, we still had a fight on at the Constructor standings. That gap was 28 points, but because Luke Warstow has outscored Felipe Salza and Daniel Gottschalk has also scored a point, that means that the Constructor standings won't be decided until next week, when we go to the Circuit of the Americas. So still something to fight for next week. But wow, what a race we've seen on Interlagos. And a couple of overtakes really should be up for contention for overtake of the season.
That was absolutely spectacular stuff by Keanu Littard earlier on in the race. The move he did around the outside of Ferradura, that was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, that was brilliant from start to finish. A bit of a lull at the start, but we knew that there was going to be action. We knew that even if it's a calm race, we're going to get PSGL racing at the end. And it was absolutely fantastic stuff there. And Emil Lundell, great stuff by him, able to take home the race victory then for the first time this season. As I mentioned, stripped off the victory in Le Castellet, but he today, most likely, unless he does get reported for any things that we didn't see, then he could, then he may lose it, but other than that, he should be all good. And I'm sure drivers behind, like Luke Warstow, will be trying everything they can to try see in the rulebook that what Emil Lundell could have done wrong, as every driver knows that victories are crucial for them, and they really all want to take as much as wins as they can in the season. Mitt, I'll let you run through the results.
Yeah, so it was Emil Lundell finishing first. He picks up the most points here tonight. Luke Warstow, followed by Felipe Salza, our championship winner in P3 in his home race. Good result by T.S. Korsman, was first 2 weeks ago, now in P4. Nardi Perez with his best result of the season in P5. Linus Donovan, second time he's picking up points in P6. Keanu Littard finds himself in P7. And it's followed by Kuba Trzeziak, Noel Carmen picking up 2 points, and the final point going to Daniel Gottschalk. And outside the points in P11, we find Nico Viatti, who drove the last 5 laps or so without a front wing, so that's also quite impressive. Carlos Torres in P12, followed by Tristan Debecourt, Jane Tripkov, Sasha Neeb, Kryzix, and out of the race, we found Boris Zakusek and Zach Miles.
Fantastic stuff indeed, and we'll bring you over to the camera screen. We'll see if any drivers do want to speak to us, but I'm sure we all need a bit of a lay down after that race. That was fantastic stuff. So let's see if anyone is in the waiting room waiting for us. Doesn't seem like it. I'll ask if any drivers do want interviews. If the top 3, if any of the top 3 want interviews, and then we'll get them in and we'll have a word with them about that race. And it'll be interesting to see from the driver's perspective of how they were all feeling during it, of how they all found that race and dealing with all of those conditions and what they thought was going to happen with the rain and how they all did it. But that was really a race which I definitely didn't want to be driving. I did not want to be driving that race because I did not know what I would have done in that one.
Exactly, but we've had so many great races so far this season. We've had a great fight in Australia, then some amazing strategies which led to a P2 for Linus Donovan in Belgium. We had Monaco, which is always chaotic. Good race, round 5. Heartbreak in Le Castellet. And then last time out, Azerbaijan, all the way at the end, fully chaos. But I think this was the best race of the season so far. At least the one I enjoyed the most here in Brazil. 2 safety cars, late rain, so much happening all the way throughout. The drivers really pushing for it and going all the way pedal to the metal. It was amazing to see. And it's Emil Lundell who's picked up his first race win of the season. We're currently waiting to see, as you mentioned, if any of the drivers want to go for interviews. So far, none of the drivers have replied just yet. So that means we'll be filling up a little bit of time before the drivers are going to mention more about that. If we don't, then the only thing we still have to look out for is what is going to be happening next week. Because next week we'll be going to the Circuit of the Americas for the season finale. Now, as you know, we already have a driver titles crowned. We have Felipe Salza, who's taken the title, and after tonight, Luke Walsall can also confirm himself off P2. In the constructor standings, as I mentioned just at the end of the race, that fight is still all the way wide open because Haas outscored Red Bull tonight, means that they're still within a shot of taking the constructor standings. But by the sounds of the Discord sounds that I hear, we have two drivers here in the commentary box. We have the drivers in P2 and P3 in this race, so I think it's only fitting we go to the driver that finished in P2. It's Luke Walsall.
Hello, guys.
Well, look, that is a confirmed P2 now in the standings. What about that?
Yeah, not bad. Obviously, first is always best, but, you know, it's still a good result, and, yeah, I'm still happy with the season. The races I actually had good pace on, showed good results, and that's all that matters. I'm not going to get sad over results I can't control, so, yeah, it's been a good season.
Yeah, I think we've asked you this question at the start of the season as well, asking you about what you were hoping to end. I believe it was either top 5 or top 10 that you mentioned. Yeah, finishing in P2. I think you can be very, very pleased with the results this season.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been good results. Obviously, every season has ups and downs, but, you know, just lock in towards the end of the season, get some good results, and, yeah, the results speak for themselves, and, yeah.
Yeah, with the results as they stand now in the constructor standings, I believe for the results added up for tonight, you should be 25 points behind the Red Bull team. Do you think you can still take the constructor title next week in Coda?
It's definitely possible. It's not one of my stronger tracks, probably one of my weaker ones, but, you know, I'll prepare well for it, and I'll always try and show up at my best, so I always aim for a good result, and, you know, sure, why not? I think we can definitely get the constructors all 5 for it, at least.
All right, well then, now let's go on to the...
Looks like we've lost audio for a second. We'll wait to sync in.
All right, let's hope Luke will be able to rejoin us in a moment. Currently muted, as far as I can see. Ah, there he is again. We all good again?
Yeah.
We are all good again. Okay, so to repeat the question, yeah, we've had, in my opinion, the best race of the season, and you've had a stellar result in qualifying as well, putting your car up in the top 3, and with a lap time that would have been good enough for a top 6 in F3 as well. Were you surprised that you were going around this quick here tonight?
No, practice times were good. The time I set in quali was just over half a tenth off my PB for the day in practice. You know, I was neutral on time and I had a little bit more time in the final corner, but I just messed up the final corner even more. So, yeah, the pole slipped away at the final corner, but, you know, P3 is still a very winnable race position from where you are. So, yeah, I was happy with quali, and I was happy with the preparation I did for the race, and yeah, I think it paid off today.
Yeah, and then for the race, we of course had the one big factor. We knew that it was going to rain at the end. You've decided to opt for a race start on the hards. If there weren't any safety cars, what was your strategy going into this race?
If there was no safety cars, it would have just been a hard medium, which is usually the safest strategy around most tracks and here. And you always end up with the best pace at the end, which is always where you want the most pace, because the end is where the race finishes. So, yeah, a hard medium was going to be the strategy. Obviously, safety cars became a factor, and we didn't obviously do that strategy. But yeah, I think I definitely would have been top 2 or maybe even the win, definitely with the hard medium strategy, as we were able to keep up with Felipe in the first stint. So, yeah, it was a good. I was happy with the strategy nonetheless.
Yeah, we knew that the rain was going to come during the race. When were you guys expecting it to hit? Because eventually it did hit in lap 34. Did you think it was going to come earlier, later, or?
Originally, we didn't think it was going to come because we just had the first safety car and we thought we'd just make it. Obviously, we had the second safety car then, and then it was the conversation of the rain may come in the last lap or two, or maybe in the half last of the last lap. But yeah, I mean, when the rain came, obviously you've got to drive with a little bit more caution and whatever else. And obviously there was a gap to a mil from Felipe, and Felipe had no battery, so I was just waiting for it to rain and get the overtake before the DRS got turned off, and hopefully catch a mill, which I did a little bit, but wasn't enough in the end. Too much, not enough time, but yeah.
Yeah, you had some good fights there in the end, managed to leapfrog Felipe in the changing conditions, and then coming through in second place, your third second place finish of the season. You happy with the results here tonight?
Yeah, I'm happy with the results tonight. Yeah, not really too much I can take away from it. I couldn't really fight for the win. Traffic definitely played a factor on the last safety car restart. Just made the most of it, keep my nose out of trouble, and get the maximum points I could, which was after that second safety car. The maximum I could get was second, so yeah, I'm quite pleased with how it went today.
All right, thank you very much for your time. And hopefully next week we will see you again after a race around the Circuit of the Americas. Then we can now move on to the man in P3, but I think the best way to announce it is your PSGL PC Season 34 F4 champion. It is Felipe Salza.
Hello, guys. What's up? How you doing?
Well, we already talked about it 2 weeks ago in Azerbaijan. We had a feeling that the title was going to be decided in the stewards' room, and we indeed got that confirmation about a week ago. You were already, before you're the champion of PCF4, and tonight you've only solidified that with a P3. But first of all, the title, how does that feel?
It feels pretty amazing, to be honest. Obviously, we entered the season just hoping to be champion, and yeah, I didn't expect actually to start the season that well. I mean, 3 podiums until Austria, and then from Austria onwards, it was a bit worse, I would say. But yeah, in Canada, also another win with the fastest lap, and in France, my pedal unfortunately disconnected, so I couldn't really thought I was P2. Portugal, another win, and then Baku P3, and Brazil P3 as well. So yeah, it's been a really consistent championship. I think, especially in PSGL, where people really miss a lot of races, consistency is key. So yeah, you just need to be there all the time.
Yeah, consistency is key indeed. We had some talks about that earlier on in the season, whether you were able to make all of the races. You've made all the races so far and have sealed the title as a result. And of course, your main competitor earlier on, Jona Martens, who has not competed in the last 4 races, meant that a new driver emerged as your competitor. That was Luke Wallstow, but with his 9-point finish last time, or 9th place finish last time out in Azerbaijan, that was enough for you to take the title. Of course, you already had a lovely interview about that with Omi. But first now, going into your home race here tonight, we saw in qualifying, we heard in your interview that qualifying was not your best, but my God, that third run, that was some run, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, man. Actually, was my PB, so I really hooked up when it matters. So I'm really pleased with that. I think most of the season I've really done a few laps, which are my PB in the session. So really happy with that, like delivering the time which needed. So yeah, really happy with the qualifying today. I wasn't really expecting, because I saw people doing like 0.0s, and I wasn't doing 0.0s. I was doing like 0.1s consistently. So yeah, was a good qualifying, and yeah, best position for the race.
It definitely was. And even, I mean, we've made a comparison with F3 quite a bit here on stream. Might be good for you to know as well. You would have only been 100 of a second away from the pole lap time in F3. Your time tonight would have been enough for a P3 as well. So it really does show how well the drivers here in our tier qualified all the way around. And then, yeah, going into the race, you were the only driver to start in the mediums. Were you a bit surprised about that?
Actually, I was, because I did the strategy a bit different as I did in Canada. Because in Canada, I started on the softs, and then I would go in another softs and maybe mediums to go into the rain. And yeah, I wasn't sure about the rain, so I started on the mediums, and I was thinking like maybe it's gonna go until the rain if it comes really early, or maybe not. Then I just pit for the softs and go overtake everyone because they would be on really worse hard tire. So yeah, I could overtake them, but yeah, there was a safety car on lap 19, which changed a lot of things, because I had to go on softs. I couldn't go really on hards, because it would be so much worse. And people were in the mediums, new mediums. And yeah, I tried my best to just break the DRS, but it wasn't enough in the end. Emil was really fast, and also Luke as well. But yeah, I think it was a good strategy to go for the softs on the first safety car.
Yeah, our strategy definitely seemed to be point on, and especially with these safety cars coming out, that didn't really change or at least ruin your strategy all too much. And then, yeah, when the rain came out, lap 34, how was it to drive in the rain on those softs?
Was just awful, man. Really awful, because in just one lap space, it was totally wet, So yeah, we couldn't really get the traction out of turn 2, turn 4, turn 6, etc. So yeah, it was really, really painful. And yeah, also, as I said, Emil was really, really fast. I was giving my all there, and I couldn't really get his DRS. So I was just like 1/10 off his DRS. So, which is really, really bad for me, because I could have at least secured that second position. But yeah, Luke just overtook me. There was nothing I could really do. And then in the last lap, I think after the last corner, the DRS was deactivated. So yeah, I couldn't really try anything.
Well, all the way throughout, we've now had 9 races so far this season. 7 times you've been on the podium, 4 times on the top step. So that is quite the consistency that we've been talking about. And there's one more race still left on the calendar. Next week, we go to the States, to the Circuit of the Americas. What are your thoughts on this track?
Well, I don't really like the track because it's really too long, I think. But yeah, I'm not really the fastest there, but I'm gonna try to improve, especially my qualifying, because I had a race, I think on last Friday, there. So I was really fast in the race, but qualifying was lacking a bit. But as we can use 2 setups here, I think it's gonna be better for me, especially. But yeah, I think it's been a really good season. Apart from Austria and also France, no fault of my own in France, but in Austria I got a bit pushed wide by Yona. But yeah, I lost the podium there. I really would like to have a 100% podium, because I think it is possible, But yeah, it's pretty good to have a 34 points lead going to the last round.
It definitely was indeed. And yeah, just to round off, of course, last week around, we already were speculating a little bit that you could have been the champion based on penalties. That indeed was confirmed. But now, to end all of this out there on YouTube, any words from you on the title?
Yeah, just I'd like to thank everyone who was cheering for me, especially the Brazilian crowd. As I said in the pre-race interview, I'm really happy with all the support, because on my stream today I had 350 people. So yeah, that's a lot of people just watching me there. So yeah, really pleased with that. And yeah, hopefully next season, on next game, I'm gonna be upper on the grid, like F3 maybe, F2, I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna try something better.
All right. Yeah, as you indeed rightfully mentioned, next season out, we'll be going to F1 24, the new game coming out in a little over 6 weeks, at the end of May. Of course, we can already pre-order the game for that. So for all of the viewers that have not done so yet, make sure to do that. Get yourself a little bit of track time in there. And yeah, PSGL will be back for that, of course, as well. Of course, yet to be determined when exactly that is going to be, but we still have one more race to round off the season, which will be next week. And I think Omi can tell us all about that.
Yep, absolutely as well. Thank you very much, Felipe Salza. Thank you very much to Luke Wolster as well. And great stuff by Myth as well with the questions. And me and Felipe Salza always usually joke after every pre-race interview that we record about that we'll probably see each other later on in the day. And we have once again Felipe Salza really performing week in, week out as well. But yes, Myth, as you mentioned, it's going to be our final race on F1 23, and it's been a good game cycle, hasn't it? It's been a good game cycle, plenty of action, whether that is PCF1 all the way downwards. Every single tier has got plenty of amazing action week in, week out. So it's been a good game cycle. Will be exciting to see how F1 24 is.
It'll be very exciting to see how it is indeed. Of course, some drivers were able to test it last week around to try and see how the grip was. There were some mixed opportunities about that, well, mixed decisions and opinions about that. Drivers did mention, though, that when she did use a custom setup, that was a little bit better. Of course, a few things have changed. There were no marbles, I believe, in the testing. ERS seemed to be a little bit more powerful than it was before. It seemed to be more difficult to follow the cars as well. So a lot of stuff is going to be coming in there. There were rumors of there finally being an anti-cheats, perhaps different engines, whatnot, but I think different engine might be for the next game cycle. So a lot of stuff that still needs to be confirmed. And yeah, we will hear about that in about a month's time.
We will indeed. So, we've not got a lot to wait, but we're acting like that this is the final race of the season. It absolutely isn't. We've still got one more week of racing to go. Of course, you have the PlayStation 2s doing their race around Brazil on Monday. Back to us on Thursday when we end the season at Austin, Texas. And it's definitely an exciting track, that is. We usually get some great finishes there. And if you remember back, of course, to the F1 Esports finish in 2022... where we had Jarno Opmeer going from 3rd to 1st, 4 cars not separated by anything, absolutely squabbling in the last sector, and that was absolutely incredible. And as Alex Jake said, you really did have to see it to believe it, but that was some fantastic action there in F1 Esports, and I'm sure our drivers will be providing much more of the same, so it's going to be a brilliant way to end the season.
Yeah. And that is all going to be happening next week out when we return at 8 p.m. British Standard Time, 9 p.m. Central European. Now switch to that, the last race of the F123 cycle here at PSGL will be the final race of the season at the Circuit of the Americas. Always a good race to see, a lot of strip streaming and a lot of strategies that are going to be coming out there. But I think it'll be a very tough one to beat out this race. And boy, I can't wait to see the highlights next week out.
Oh, it's going to be hard to edit them and get them in a certain time span. Cannot wait for that one, but I'm sure I'm going to enjoy watching all of it back as well. Big thank you, though, to Mitsky once again. Big thank you to Felipe Salza for the interviews twice, and also Luke Woolstow for getting in there. And big thanks to all of our drivers who've continued to attend all throughout the season and are delivering us with plenty of action. We've still got one more race to go, though, in this amazing game cycle of F1 23. And let's go out with a bang. And I'm sure all the drivers will do as well. Big thanks to all our amazing sponsors. You can see the GT Omega chair right there. Big thanks to them. And of course, SRC. A lot going on with them, of course, going on to the F1 24 game. And also look at the PSGL socials. I believe there was a GT Omega offer going on with the chairs, I think. So make sure you go look at that. SRC, of course, with the new game release. So with setups and everything. Make sure you go take a look at that. Big thanks to, of course, all of you for watching. We have one more race to go. Let's go out with F1 23 on a bang here at Austin, Texas. We'll see you next week when PSGL returns. Goodbye.
He's got the inside off here, he's through on the left hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the ghost is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.